coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson.
Unbelievable finish.
It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race. Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead.
Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loma is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett low. 4 wide at the stripe. For all he's with here on this outside line, neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out? Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to call. A long and grueling regular season finally comes to a close, where tonight we welcome you to the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series regular season finale from the World Center of Racing and the Daytona International Speedway. Happy to have you join us as we now start to eye in on the playoffs, but we've got just one more race to go until then. And along with Charlie Baier in the booth and Francisco Bacallao, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Guys, 18 races in the books and just one more at the same place we dropped the green flag to start this season, and what a way to be back with the playoffs at stake more than ever.
Yeah, this is the biggest stage in all of NASCAR racing here, the Daytona International Speedway. This massive 2.5-mile racetrack has offered excitement for over half a century, so everyone wants to win here. This is such a big place, such a big racetrack. Everyone knows that they can win here, and we're going to see more aggressive racing, such big moves more than ever than we have this entire season, with a record field here tonight in the LWRC Cup Series.
Happy to be here with you guys tonight, and as we've mentioned, we're here at the Daytona International Speedway, a world-renowned racetrack. A lot of people recognize that name, Daytona, and to win here, it means a lot. And to close the regular season, it means all the more with the playoffs starting after this race. So everyone's going to be aggressive to try and get as many points as they can to have the best shot at making it, and more importantly, winning the race. So we're going to be in for an interesting race, a lot of teamwork to help teammates make it in or get better playoff positions. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out and how it's going to be settled down when it comes to the finish.
Playoffs certainly at the front desk. And in terms of those points, we're going to look at the grid. Actually, we're going to take a look right in the middle of your screen at what we're looking at in terms of the playoff schedule. And right after tonight's checkered flag here at Daytona International Speedway, we'll take our trip to the first playoff race of the season, start with the round of 12, and we get 3 races until then. We'll eliminate 4 drivers from then, go on to the round of 8, then eliminate 4 drivers after those 3 races, after Bristol, and then go on to South Florida on Homestead and Miami Speedway, where we will crown a LWRC NASCAR Cup Series championship for 2020. And certainly very, very interesting considering how the season has gone. So many different drivers entering this season late in different portions of the season. So many drivers racking up points, getting wins, and maybe not showing up in certain races. Drivers certainly falling up and down through this entire points grid, and it's definitely be interesting. A lot of drivers in this mix that are willing for the points lead, and especially as the championship going to move forward. Now it's just all about getting by Daytona and keeping yourself clean.
Yeah, this and Talladega, and really any road course, are really the wild card races this season. We're going to see that. If you've been watching NASCAR recently, you watched the Talladega race on Sunday. That was a wild event here. Same super speedway type racing that we're going to see tonight, obviously, and very, very prone to wrecks. And especially with this new Cup package, those runs are so huge. As Brad Keselowski said in his post-race interview, I mean, it's a lot to handle sometimes. And compared to the old package, you can kind of stay in line. But these, you just don't have anywhere to go with it.
And it's certainly going to be one of the most exciting nights that we'll see here in this league. And especially since the fact the difference between when we started this season off at this very racetrack during the daytime, and then now that we're back here at the regular season finale, so many races after with a bunch of new drivers in the mix, and so many things to discover and talk about as we move on. But you just saw the warm-up grid, or the qualifying timer, just about tick down to 0, and that means we are gridding, and everybody is down onto pit road, and that means they're all behind the iRacing pace car, and that means we'll take a look at your starting grid and see where everybody's starting for tonight's race. Parker White starts on the outside of row number 1 with Aiden Kirker with the pole sitter at a 47.711 at KBueno Racing, and a couple-time winner this season, starting on pole for the regular season finale, second in points. Parker White, as I just mentioned, he's also one of the hot guns in this season, has already won a couple of times. He starts on the outside of row 1.
Starting in the second row, inside driver for Nova Sim Racing, Michael Kenner in that number 14 NTN Ford Mustang, and to his outside, Jonathan T. Baker, also driving for Nova Sim Sport, will start in the 4th position. Two teammates side by side in row number 2.
Looking back at the third row, we have Joe Berge in that number 83 car, followed by Brianna Lavin in the 71.
Back to row number 4 will be Brady Weileman. Unfortunately, it does not seem to be that the grid is really calculating itself correctly, but there are a lot of drivers in this field. I'm going to look a little bit further back. You see guys like Josh Patterson. There's Brady Weileman in the 51, Brianna Lavin in the 71 respectively. You see Cole Williams in the mix. Lots of Basin Racing entries. The 43 or the 45 at least of Kobe Wells is back in the action as well. And you see the Apollo Gaming cars back there. That is Dane Cruz in there in the mix as well. There's Quentin Warman, Josh Duke, Jonathan Baker here as well, all the way up there in the front. Benjamin White also here as well. So lots of drivers in. Unfortunately, the grid really did not try to situate itself correctly. So those are the drivers here tonight, and possibly a record number of drivers here in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, at least for tonight here at Daytona Superspeedway. Anything really can happen, and of course lots of drivers get excited to go super speedway racing, and at least they have that opportunity to go for it, since this super speedway situation is very equal for a lot of these drivers. Gonna take a look at the track info and see exactly what kind of specs we're looking at here in the Daytona International Speedway. Of course, a 2.5 mile large D-shaped oval, of course, with 4 turns. The track elevation at about 36 feet. We are in Florida, so not too high up off the ground. A track temp of about 80 degrees, but we are under the lights, so it will be a little bit cooler tonight for these drivers. And of course, located in Daytona Beach, the United States of America. I think no introduction really needed, Charlie, at least for this racetrack, because it's been so historic.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, this is just such a historic racetrack in all forms of racing, really, on the oval side and the road side. Obviously, the IMSA series goes here for the 24 hours of Daytona, so you kind of get that taste from all sides around here, and it's really just going to put on a show tonight, like it always does. Daytona really never disappoints.
So the field will come off of turn number 4, all doubled up behind Aiden Kirker and Parker White. And they're going to take a look here in this little segment between the exit of turn 4 and the entrance to the tri-oval. We are happy to have you with us to join us for the regular season finale. Kirker and Parker White to the front row. Green flag is out. We are underway from Daytona.
Cars all spreading out down the back straightaway. You can see the difference in guys who are trying to run up front as a strategy and the guys who are trying to play it safe and run out back. So your leader as of right now, Parker White, took it on the back straightaway, right in front of that number 71 car in the 06. Aiden Kirker, your pole sitter, drops back to 4th, and here comes Brady Weileman looking for the spot under Joe Berge, but 2 teammates, I believe, up top. Look for more.
Parker White will lead that lap, but here comes that 71 car on the outside with a big push, and you see, I believe that is the 39 of Aiden Kirker who jumped up there. And now going to the inside for the race lead, it looks as though I can't make out that car number. I'm sorry.
That is Josh Patterson, I believe. He is running a custom number. Josh Patterson drives for Nova Sim Racing, and Brianna 11 does drive for Basin Racing. Excuse my confusion there about the teammates. So Josh Patterson right now out in front, your race leader, with help from Parker White, but that outside is forming up with those teammates right behind, or at least two friends, Parker White and Brady Wheelman, right up and against together.
Saw Josh Patterson try to help the 71 of Brianna 11 all the way to the top side, got around Parker White, and as soon as he found that opening, looked to the bottom and took over the race lead. But now it seems as though he has a fight to pick with everybody now as he gets forced to the high side with Kobe Wells to help. He's going to try to help and pick him up and at least try to form the outside line, but everybody all separated, at least for the most part. Lots of drivers that you saw on that opening lap go all the way to the apron on the back straightaway in order to get out of the way, try to get to the back, as lots of drivers up here trying to form together. That 71 almost had a moment with the 16 of Bridger Olsen. Boy, lots of drivers in this mix, and I believe still not a line to be configured yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of miscommunication going on around here in the field right now. Lots of cars also having a bit of internet issues as well. You see Brady Wheelman and the 16 car are both struggling in terms of latency right now, but Brady Wheelman currently sitting second to his one of his good friends in the iRacing service, Parker White.
And
You see the 71. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
71 of Brianna 11. You see he's stuck on that outside. There's not many cars up there as one jumps up there now. They're trying to make it work because right now Parker White is leading the inside lane, and right now that's the best position to be in. But you see they're getting a big push on this outside lane, so Brianna 11 making up ground, trying to get up there and take the lead away from Parker White.
We'll see if communication ends up being the victor here this time around. The outside now with about 4 cars, and now a 5th car to help with Josh Patterson sneaking to the middle of the space between Bridger Olsen and the 95 of Paul Granada. Michael Kenner and the Nova Sim Racing driver right behind. Also going to try and help. That is Jonathan T. Baker in the 36. 16 of Bridger Olsen going to look back and actually decided to back out of that line. I'm surprised. Possibly could have been forced up there, but I think he's going to try to find some sort of space to get around, try to get back in this draft. And you see now 3 wide as Aiden Kirker gets shoved to the high side. Now that outside lane is starting to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars all the way to the top.
Yeah, and you're seeing all these lanes try to form, and you're going to see throughout the race that the success of the lane is entirely dependent on the amount of cars who are pushing there. As you see 2 cars lined up on the bottom, one of them having latency issues, you're going to see that tie line start to surge around them, maybe on the front straightaway or the back straightaway back here. But you're going to see right there, that's 2 cars cleared of Parker White, almost nearly 3. So like you said, these lanes are definitely going to be switching out throughout the night, as it always does.
Brady Wildman's going to look all the way to the bottom. He decides to back out due to those internet issues, and he has been blinking a fair amount of times throughout the early stages of this race, so he's going to move back. Now it seems as though everything has switched from the outside all the way to the inside, but Josh Patterson took advantage on the high line after the 71 moved low to try and block Parker White all the way, who was leading that bottom groove. Parker White all the way down to, I believe, 4th, 6th place actually now in this group. Gonna try to help the 71 with the 36 to tag along. So 3 up there, now 2 as the 36 looks to the bottom. And at this point, Charlie, you're very early in this race, and lots of drivers are already moving lots of lanes to the bottom, to the top, trying to make something happen, at least in the moment. Do you think right now the lanes in terms of going to the outside and going to the inside, taking the lead early seems to be the key, especially if you want to make these playoffs?
Yeah, definitely. And if you get, let's say, the top 2, second and third on the bottom line want to get past, they jump up to the high line. That makes a gap between 1st place and 4th place on the line. So they're going to drop back. That's going to give you that advantage. So there's so much technicality that comes into trying to hop up and getting these runs and trying to get around the race leader. It's, there's a lot to super speedway racing more than just getting lucky.
Not to mention on the inside line, you're trying to hold it down on the bottom. You're turning the wheel a bit more, so you're going to be lifting, giving the guy in front of you a bit more space. The higher you go, the more full throttle you're able to be because the gap persists as you go the longer way around. You see right there, the outside lane has a significantly less cars, but they're able to keep up because they're holding the throttle down a lot longer. So they're challenging for this lead, and you're going to see people going up and down because I don't think any of them are being complicit in trying to ride around us. We have a caution on the racetrack.
Caution out for the first time this evening, and it belongs a huge pile up here. There's Eli Commerford, Josh Duke. Eli Commerford making his first start tonight. Colton Zimmer is involved with 3 cars involved in this. Actually, maybe 4 if you count Quentin Warman as Joe Berge slips by. But a caution here to start things off here on lap number 9.
Yeah, we're going to take a look to see what the cause of that caution was, but it was kind of consistent with the cars towards the back, and see a couple Basin Racing drivers. Oh yeah, it looks like the 17 just got the 07 at a wrong angle. Just went on from there. Good wreck avoidance by not sure who that was. There's Eli Commerford here. Oh my goodness, just could not avoid that wreck and piles in, running a pink breast cancer awareness car. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we do want to spread awareness for that on the KBueno Racing Network.
Here's a look from Josh Duke looking in. Those are 3 Basin Racing cars all the way to the high side. Maybe some miscommunication rocking the top, and Josh Duke, it looked as though he almost had it through, and then he gets into the sandwich between Commerford and the 1 of Colton Zimmer. So that brings out the first yellow tonight here on lap number 9. It seems as though, I think these laps are going by way slower than we anticipated. It looked as though it probably felt a little bit shorter. However, still early in this race, as Paul Granata, who took the race lead a couple laps earlier, is now down pit road with a lot of his teammates and everybody else on the lead lap. The zoo is full right now. They're all down pit road.
Yeah, that's surprising to see them come down pit road this early. I'm not sure if they're trying to drop back or maybe gain some position, but tires don't matter here as much as they do on maybe a 1.5 mile racetrack or a short track. So see Michael Kenner with that strategy. I'm not sure if he took any tires, maybe just fuel only. But the fuel run here is going to be about 50-60 laps, so I guess it is kind of a safe bet to come down, top it off, so you don't have to deal with it later.
I was just about to mention that. I believe these guys are coming in to make sure that they have enough fuel, and if it's close by any means, then they're banking on cautions. But I think with this pit stop, most of these guys should be able to make it to the end, barring any green-white checkers.
Joe Berge is the only car to stay out in the 83 machine. You just saw him avoid the wreck, at least within that first yellow, but he decided not to go down pit road, maybe with an option to decide to go later. As Michael Kenner, who won the race off pit road, possibly just got fuel, did not get tires on that stop. He's the first one out. Parker White will settle for second off pit road. Dane Cruz, a member of EO Media Racing, will be in third. Brady Weileman also came through into about 4th off of pit road. And then Baker, Kirker, Brianna Lavin, Cole Williams in the mix, Shane DeMantova, Quentin Warman, and the rest of them. Of course, Josh Duke, Eli Commerford, who's now out of pit road, and he got his fast repair already. And a couple drivers, I believe, yet to exit pit road, including some of the Nova guys in Josh Patterson, Paul Granata now exiting, Colby Wells now out, also Bridger Olson. Very lengthy stops for a good amount of these drivers up front.
Yeah, I think that just might be a strategy move for them, because I saw a couple Basin Racing cars lined up on the top towards the back. So if I were to guess, they are taking that kind of conservative strategy coming into this race and just trying to save their cars to the end, because there is a limited amount of fast repairs and a limited amount of time in the race. This is a 55-lap race.
Also saw a couple cars catch the wall a couple times during that run, so maybe they had a bit of damage they're trying to clear up and top it off again. So you never know with these situations what exactly is going on, but they know exactly what they're doing, and they're trying to position themselves as best as they believe to be around at the race.
Joe Berge ended up going down pit road. He was the final driver, and he is currently sitting, I believe, he's actually on the lead lap sitting 12th. So he's ahead of some of the drivers who went down pit road, like Josh Duke, Paul Granata. They're now out as well, so they're making their way back to the entire field led by Michael Kenner and Parker White in this race. So still a long way to go, of course. So the 44 laps to go, still a long way to head to the checkered flag. And like we were talking about at the top of the broadcast, the playoffs are going to start to close in. And after this race, we're going to go straight into the playoffs. Top 12 are the ones who make it in. And one of those top 12 is your race leader right now in the 14 of Michael Kenner. Still a question as to whether Parker White, who has 3 wins this season, whether he makes it. You see Brady Weileman on the outside of row number 2. He is also a member of the playoffs after winning at Talladega. Aiden Kirker there as well, and Cole Williams with their wins respectively. bunch of drivers here still at least trying to stay safe, or at least trying to break into the fold and try to spoil the party, get into the playoffs in this season. Nonetheless, Michael Kenner in the Ford Mustang, Parker White in the Toyota Camry. We are back underway and green here at Daytona.
The lanes will even out as they're about to scream down the back straightaway, and you'll notice again with these two lanes is that down the back straightaway, or just a straightaway in general off the corner, that high line is going to be soaring out front. But then once you hop back into the corner, you'll see the high line starts to get a setback as Parker White goes from half a car length ahead to his door.
And now the inside lane starting to work together. They're starting to make something work as Parker White, with help from Brady Weileman. You can't see him right now due to the internet issues. There he is back again on the outside. They are the only two cars, and now possibly three if you count the 26 of Eli O'Quinn, who wants to join this segment of cars up to the high side, trying to make something stick like they did a little bit early on and push Parker White to the front of this field. But so far, that has not developed just yet. As they continue on, Dane Cruz now works to the high side. He was behind your race leader. Now side by side into turn 3. A couple of rows deep now on the outside.
Michael Kenner with the advantage out in front. Here comes Parker White to help the 46 of Dane Cruz. So now the 36 of Jonathan Baker, if he wants to, he can hop up and get ahead of Dane and get a run out front. But it looks like he'll be sticking with his teammate at Nova Sim Racing. So still up front, we got another caution out of the racetrack.
Oh, got one spinning all the way in the back. I'm not sure who exactly that might have been. Possibly within the realms. And it's Brady Weileman in the 51 around this time. Caution out for the second time this evening at lap number 14. So just a handful of laps after we got the first yellow at lap number 9. And getting another one here on lap number 14. We're going to take a replay. This is, I believe, a single car incident with Brady Weileman. And this is looking, you really can't see, and already, as soon as he reappears from the internet issues, he's already around on the racetrack.
Yeah, so that'll be the second caution of the race today, obviously having to do with those internet issues that we've been seeing him struggle with all race, and the cars around him. I've been listening in on the iRacing voice chat, and there's a lot of guys who are complaining, telling him to fix it or leave the group.
I would just like to say I was facing some issues with my phone overheating, and I have fixed those issues, so I returned. I'm sorry for being out for that little bit.
So first caution, or second caution now. First caution ever since our first restart at lap number 9 involves Brady Weileman. A single car incident, so he'll be the only one most likely getting a faster pair. And I don't think he's gotten it yet. Just trying to take a look, and you see he's reappearing and just disappearing for a couple of seconds now. And the entire front bumper of that Chevrolet Camaro, the Hershey-sponsored machine, is off of that race car. He's probably going to have to try and get that fixed. Not sure whether he's opting to take a faster pair at the moment, but still on the racetrack, at least to muster what he has. As Eli O'Quinn goes around one of the lap cars, he is 4 laps down on the racetrack. So he will take his wave around and will stay single file as a caution out once again. Just a reminder that if you want to join the conversation with us here in the KBRN booth, you can do so by using hashtag AskKBRN. You can put your question followed by that hashtag, and you can ask us anything. We'll be sure to answer just as soon as you send it. That's hashtag AskKBRN for any question you like. So one driver goes down pit road. That seems to be Aiden Kirker, I believe. No, it is Dane Cruz, but here's an interesting thing, guys. A lot of drivers deciding to split this time around. Kenner and Baker decide to stay out as the rest of the field, with Parker White led by Dane Cruz, is going to start to come in. And Parker White coming out first in this exchange. It looked like the 46 almost had that advantage, but he did not have enough to get around. So Parker White will be the first one off pit road. He'll most likely be sitting, I believe, around 4th or 5th now, with Eli Commerford being the 4th car on the racetrack. They did decide to stay out. So Parker, Cruz, Cole Williams now, who's up here in the mix in the top 10. Joe Berge, who went down pit road, Brianna Lavin as well. Thomas Lloyd, Shane DeMantova, or at least Thomas Lloyd, will be filing out the rest of this top 10 as soon as we go back to green, or if anyone else decides to go down pit road within these 4 drivers who stayed out.
All right, so when we go back green, I'm not sure if we do have the 2 to green mark or the 1 to green, but Michael Kenner will lead them back to the green flag. He was leading before the drop of the caution flag, but that is also the 36 of Jonathan T. Baker driving for Nova Sim Racing. First up, we've seen a Basin Racing driver, Quinton Mormon at number 07. Toyota Camry is in 3rd place. He'll be in a pushing position once we get on this restart.
He will be on the pushing position. He will be on the bottom, so he will be right behind your race leader and the Nova Sim Racing driver of Michael Kenner, who had a win this season. I got one at Las Vegas all the way, I believe, the week after our inaugural race at Daytona International Speedway. So he picked up his first victory there, and then ever since he did not have another win, I believe, to his name, not just yet in this series, in this season so far. So looking for another one. He is, though, locked into the playoffs. At least he is, I believe, sitting 10th. So he is still within the realm of possibility to get into the playoffs and rank himself in the top 12 to make it and try to run for a championship. But interesting thing here, Kenner decides to go to the high side, and you just mentioned that the 07 of Quentin Warman was going to have the pushing, or at least going to have the push to his advantage on the bottom. He's not going to be pushing the leader. He's going to be pushing the 36 of Jonathan T. Baker, who's also another Nova Sim Racing entry in tonight's race. I believe one of his first starts in this series, if not his debut tonight in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series. So he will be all the way at the bottom. Quentin Warman will line up row number 2 on the inside. Parker White will help Michael Kenner. We'll see if that situation ever grows or how that develops, as Berge and Dane Cruz in a row 3, the 77 and the 71. Same song, different verse, will be into row number 4. And then a lot of drivers, at least further back, Thomas Lloyd, Brady Weileman, who did get his fast repair down pit road, so he didn't lose too much. He's going to be starting 9th on this restart as they're doubled up behind the pace car and going to get off of turn 4, going to go green very shortly.
All right, well, we're going to see the effect of starting on the outside line here on this restart, because, you know, when you're on the inside line, your driver's side is facing the car right there, and you can kind of see it. But when you're on the outside, it's kind of unpredictable.
So the 14 of Kenner and the 36 of Baker will lead them back to the green flag as they double up. The 14, though, with a great start. He's going to have to get picked up, though, by somebody behind him. He decides to go all the way to the yellow line and possibly follow through with the Nova Sim Racing teammate of Baker to the inside. Possibly the best decision, as they are to get teammates. Going to be working together all the way to the bottom. Parker White going to be the sole driver up top. He's going to have a little bit to help, though, with the 77 and the 95, respectively. The 07 going to look all the way back on the back straightaway, but everybody filed in, as I think a lot of drivers swerving around to get that outside lane working.
Yeah, I think we know what the Basin Racing drivers are doing at this point. They're trying to take it easy there, but I do see that 77 car of Thomas Lloyd up top with help from Paul Granada. So we'll see. Parker White is clear. He could hop up if he wants to and try to make a surge towards the front. 2 Toyota teammates would be lined up with each other there. No, Michael Kenner will lead yet another lap here. Lap number 19 of 55.
Still lots of drivers to the inside, about 5 drivers up top, and now just 4 as Paul Granada finds the space to the bottom. He's going to be in between the 46 of Dane Cruz and the 83 of Joe Berge. As you see now, you're seeing this first pack right now as Paul Granada makes an aggressive move up high and gonna have the help from the Basin Racing 77 machine. Will he have enough of a run, though, to get up there and go up to the front like we've seen a couple of drivers do already tonight? I don't think the answer is yes, as the 77 of Lloyd is going to back out. The 71 has nowhere to go. Now Cole Williams is going to look to the outside, and a huge scramble here down the front straightaway.
Guys trying to find their lanes here. Do you see Josh Patterson almost loses the race car? An amazing save. Looks like he caught the apron there, but managed to keep it straight. Amazing save by Josh Patterson.
And we see what that did. We see the front pack has now dissolved into just the single file lane on the bottom. You see we got a car back there up on the top, and one's dropping back. Someone's making a move up here near the front of the pack, but doesn't look like anyone's going to go with them. We got a blinker.
That's Berge in the 83, going to go all the way to the top, try to find somebody to help, but I don't think he's gotten enough, as there's not many drivers down there now, as they were all about 2 wide for a couple of rows deep, and it worked for a couple of seconds until lots of drivers started swerving around. Paul Granada tried to do something, and then as soon as the area where Josh Patterson got very loose off the exit of the tri-oval, that really separated the rest of this group, as Patterson now falls out of the draft of the first pack, possibly going to get picked up by the drivers a couple of seconds back, or at least a couple of car lengths back, I believe, with Aiden Kirker starting in that group. As now Cole Williams, your points leader, is going to try to make something happen. Brady Weileman's in the middle of all of it, though, and I believe almost 3 wide for that position there for 4th, with Paul Granada now helping the middle.
Yeah, a lot of drivers on the iRacing radio are getting pretty frustrated with Brady, and you see him, he kind of disappeared for a second when he made that move, so that was like Cole Williams kind of swerved up top. But he's currently up to 3 car lengths from the lead. We'll see if he can try to advance more with Paul Granada right behind him. Also, Joe Berge also comes back top. Big block by Kenner.
Brady Wheeleman was a part of the last caution, or one of the recent cautions, and here he is back already fighting for this race lead. Just goes to show the pack is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter where you are, you can find your way to the front. You see him trying to be very aggressive with the leader, as the inside lane is now starting to progress forwards, and I believe the 36 now is going to take the lead with Parker White helping.
Yeah, when Kenner moved up top, that allowed the other Nova Sim Racing teammate down there with the 36 of Jonathan T. Baker to go side by side. We saw Vag Esports take a shot at that in the first race of the Bunny iRacing Bunch and Lawn Care Series. Oh, contact between the 77 and the 14.
Kenner got very loose and very squirrely at the exit of the tri-oval. Luckily, no harm, no foul. Everyone stays clean for now, as Brady Weileman's in the sucker hole to the top. He's going to fall all the way, possibly to the end of this long line. I believe all the way up to the 16 of Bridger Olsen there in that EMR entry, and Media Racing, and a couple of drivers there as well. Thomas Lloyd and Kobe Wells to help there. So he will fall all the way back through. Kenner, though, I think survives for 6th right now, as Brianna Lavin tries to make something happen on the top. We've seen her do this a couple of times, but not much success. At least only one time, but it only fell through just a couple of laps later, as Baker took to the race lead after Kenner blocked up high. So the Nova Sim Racing entry, or at least Nova Sim Racing, continues to lead this field.
4 teams representing the top 4 spots right now. That leader is a Nova Sim Racing entry of Jonathan T. Baker. Right behind the Grath Simsport driver, Parker White. Currently sitting 3rd right now is Aiden Kirker, and 4th is that 71 Facing Racing driver of Brianna Lavin in that D-Wall car.
You got someone dropping off here, and he's blinking. The leader right now is blinking as well. But you can see that outside lane, a lap ago, it was non-existent. Now they got 5 cars up there, and they're making a hard charge to try and take this lead away with Brianna Lavin out front of that outside lane. And they're going to be able to get to the outside of Jonathan T. Baker right here. Is almost contact with Parker White.
1 turn to 5 very quickly on the top, as the 71 will lead them all down, possibly with an opportunity to take the race lead. But now Paul Granada shoves through the middle and enables that outside lane to his benefit. Now he's going to lead that outside groove, with Brianna Lavin stuck 3 wide, possibly going to have to fend behind Joe Berge and try to get draft off of there as well. But the inside line still fighting hard, with Nova Sim Racing at the head of the 36 of Jonathan T. Baker, still at the front. Now with Paul Granada, who's made a couple of aggressive moves already. He is still on a mission to go all the way to the front of this field. He has yet to do it, but he has not given up whatsoever, as they're off turn 4. Cole Williams and the 16 of Bridger Olsen going to help. 4 cars to the top, I believe 6 all the way down to the bottom.
All these guys are stacking on top of each other. You see the Media Racing driver starting to creep up front. Dan Cruz with a move to the outside with Paul Granada to help behind him. 3 Media Racing drivers now up in the top 4 on the high line. So they are all lined up with Paul Granada in that 95 kind of in the way there, but they're going to try to surge up front. You see those Apella Gaming cars trying to take control of this race.
Now Dane Cruz is going to have a shot at the fellow Camaro to the bottom in the 36 of Baker. Finally, that outside lane probably has something enough for the driver up leading that outside group to take over the race lead. We'll see if that turns out to be successful, but so far it is still in fruition, as the 46, I believe, has the entry there in the trial one. I believe he just led that lap, so Dane Cruz will lead lap number 27 as Kenner moves all the way to the bottom. I believe got loose, maybe a shot from the 06 of Patterson, but he's going to save it. Everybody clean, no yellow.
safely re-enters the racetrack. That was a close move, and he's going to lose a bit of ground here. Going to lose the lead trap. The back up front, Dane Cruz with the points here, and will he be clear of Jonathan T. Baker into the corner? I believe he will. The question is, will he move down or will he stick with it?
Doesn't look like he will. The 36 keeps his nose in there and is going to take the lead back. You can see in the corners that being on the inside lane is definitely the preferred way around. It's a shorter distance. You will cut through the track a lot faster than you would on the outside. But right here, the outside lane will have the preferred line. Both lines actually have an even amount of cars. They're both F5 cars, so it's definitely about which one could get the better pushes. And you can see right now, entering turn 1, that outside lane gets to the outside of the race leader. But from here on until the exit of turn 2, that inside lane should have the advantage.
Top 10 all within 1 second in this entire group. 5 cars to the top, 5 cars to the bottom. And then you see a little further back where Colby Wells in the 45 machine in the 11. He has a couple of racing drivers right behind him in the 77 of Lloyd, Quentin Warman in the 07, and the one of Colton Zimmer, who's involved in that first yellow. Luckily, they are all clean and green, moving all forward together, trying to catch up to this main pack. But it is still drama up here, as now Baker's going to look to the bottom. Dane Cruz almost had a look at the race lead, clear by just a little bit. But then Baker decided to go back to the bottom. Paul Granato's going to move to the top with no help, though. And now I believe he's going to fall back, as they're still 2x2 with Brady Wallerman making contact.
Dane Cruz took the lead down the back straightaway. Jonathan T. Baker, I'm sorry. I don't know how long I've been making that mistake. But he looked high up in the tri-oval, then cut down right below. Dane Cruz almost turned himself across the nose. But now, 3 Eel Media Racing drivers up top in the top 3. That's Dane Cruz, Cole Williams, and Bridger Olsen there. So these teammates all work really well together. We'll see if Dane Cruz can take over the lead and keep it.
The Dylan Basin Racing Team cars have caught up to this lead draft. I don't know if you caught that in the picture there. They came out of nowhere, and they have caught on to the tail end of this pack. So they are very fast, and they are looking to cut their way through this field. And one reason they were able to do that in particular was these lead draft guys are getting very aggressive. You see them going 3 wide on occasion, especially on that outside lanes. You see the 95 sideways in the middle of the turn, and he's able to save it. But they're getting so aggressive up here, and them being side by side, it's pulling one another back. And those 3 or 4 guys are running single file, able to make good lap time, and they've caught up to them thanks to that. And here we see a battle for the lead.
Still a battle as the 51 is loose to the bottom of the apron. Will he save it? Still all the way to the bottom, trying to make sure that car is straight, and he does. He's able to straighten it out, so no yellows. He's going to get swarmed by everyone behind, and he's going to definitely fall out of the main pack. But what you just mentioned, Charlie, there, the top 3 on the top lane, all Eel Media Racing drivers, and that goes to the conversation of team allegiance. The teams all working together, trying to find each other on the racetrack, and as soon as they hook up, they never let go. All of them together. You just saw, as Francisco mentioned, with the 3 Basin Racing cars down at the bottom, they were working together prior to that first yellow. Now, Nova Sim Racing had that opportunity a couple of laps back early in this race when they were all bunched together in the top 10. But now that Eel Media Racing has found their way, they're starting to make something happen, as Cole Williams, I believe, almost had a moment there with Bridger Olsen. But team allegiance seems to be very important here at a track like Daytona, where you got to pick and choose. And of course, if you're not out there making any other friends, I think your best friends right now, the teammates to work with, more comfortable.
Yeah, I look at Daytona just in general as a team racetrack. Obviously, the Rolex 24, you have multiple people driving the same car, but in Daytona, when you're, on the oval, on the high banks of the racetrack, you want those teammates behind you to try to get out to the race lead, and that's just super speedway racing in general. Is you want to have those people you can trust, and you can trust them to not fail you.
And typically, towards the end of the race, that's when teammates go out the window. You want to win this race for you and yourself, which is a bit selfish, but to win these races, you have to be. And we've seen on occasion, sometimes teammates will be selfless in order for the big picture gain for the team. Will that happen here tonight? Will someone be aggressive and race their teammate hard for a win? Us up out here at the booth, I'm sure we would all love to see that, but we'd have to wait and see as we got 23 laps to go.
And so many teams represented. You just talked about Eel Media Racing, Nova Sim Racing there as well, Basin Racing up to the top 10. You see the Nova Sim Racing entry of the 95 of Paul Granata, Joe Berge, all alone in his team, not really anywhere to really hook up with, especially with no teammates to really help him on the track. He's the sole driver on his own team there, as Paul Granata tried to look to the middle, maybe push Bridger Olsen up to the sucker hole in the middle, but he was not able to do so. It got really tight there. Man, Paul Granata is pushing very, very hard. Has been very aggressive since the drop of the green flag, and he's all over the racetrack trying to make something happen to push up front.
Yeah, that's going to weaken the bottom lane here, but as of right now, the bottom lanes are kind of equal. But Joe Berger really isn't pushing up against that bumper of the 95 car, so my guess would be Immediate Racing will have the advantage down the back straightaway. And they've been doing a really good job pushing each other.
Yeah, we've yet to see, though, Dane Cruz take over the race lead, at least clear of the rest of the racetrack, as Josh Patterson is just swerving down the back straightaway. I'm not sure really what he's doing there, all by himself in the draft. It seems as though there's nobody else that's making his car loose. He's just kind of swerving there in the back straightaway, trying to have a little bit of fun right there, as he has lost the draft just a little bit, but he's going to have help from his teammate in Michael Kenner to get back up, as all three of the Nova Sim Racing drivers going to be together. Now Josh Patterson's going to split that up. Still 4 cars to the top, 4 cars to the bottom, as Baker and Cruz continue to do battle.
Yeah, the leaders have been pretty equal from here on out. You know, we see Dane Cruz try to get a run off the corner, and he's just almost clear. Oh, don't crazy for now.
Up and over.
Joel Bergen with a huge crash up to the outside wall involving Bridger Olsen, and a caution waves on lap number 35. Everyone's scrambling to get around. Parker White's involved, Aiden Kirker. Eli O'Quinn gets in here late. And a yellow with a huge crash on the back straightaway. That was big.
Yeah, for a couple laps, they were getting so out of control coming out of turn 2, and I was going to make a point of that at some point, and it just ended up biting. Here, you see the 83 got turned by that 95, and it goes up and over on top of the 83 car and into the catch fence. That is a scary crash.
He kind of ramped off the front bumper of him, as you see there. Oh, my goodness.
Wow, huge crash. And then up front, Paul Granada was there. I saw Parker White get tagged, I believe, late in this wreck. We'll take a look, as the 95 almost had a moment there, I believe.
That 16 car low-key looked like Kurt Busch from yesterday's race going on top of a row of cars.
This is from Parker White. And he was involved. Got tagged by Berge trying to spin there. They were all collected together. And then Parker White trying to save the race car. Hard into the inside wall. He's not able to save it, then goes all the way back up. And I'm not sure if there's anyone else to make contact. You see Aiden Kirker there, comes in late. Eli O'Quinn comes in there with damage as well. Brady Weileman just hopping away in the grass, away from the wreck. And all clear and safe and sound for him. No damage, but huge, huge collection. I'm going to take a look with Bridger Olsen's on board. That must be insane. Oh.
Oh, my God. Goodness gracious.
There's a gyro cam. Just all of a sudden, that 83 comes at him, and a second later, he's in the air going left, right, and he must not have registered what happened until he comes to a stop. And here we see those guys involved in that wreck coming down pit road get their damage repaired, or maybe use that fast repair that they got.
I say Paul Granada is around on pit road. He just came back. I'm not sure whether that was an entry issue, but he was around as soon as Bridger Olsen and Josh Duker making their trips down pit road. You see a lot of drivers in there as well, and I believe everyone is down pit road, as Cole Williams will lead them on down, and Brady Weileman stays out. So Brady Weileman will stay out on the racetrack. He did not decide to go down pit road. Cole Williams has some damage, but he did not decide to get that fixed. As he will lead the field off pit road. Baker will fall to second on pit road. Brianna Lavin will be third. Dane Cruz. It takes out a couple of drivers who were in that main pack, most notably Berge, Bridger Olsen, Aiden Kirker, who was up there as well. Parker White there, he's also getting his damage fixed. He is down pit road as well, trying to get something, at least. He did not decide to get his fast repair just yet. Maybe anticipating more chaos along the way. Aiden Kirker also there as well. Colby Wells. There's Paul Granada now exiting. Josh Patterson there as well. And the caution out once again at lap number 37, closing in on the final stage of this race and the final 15 or so laps until we get the checkered flag. Just a quick reminder that LWRC NASCAR Cup Series coverage on the KBueno Racing Network is brought to you by Appella Gaming. Appella Gaming is an e-commerce retailer of quality gaming accessories for Microsoft Xbox, Sony PlayStation, and a variety of Nintendo consoles. You can check out their website and all their gear on their website, which is already up here. It came out on October 1st, a couple of days back. That's at AppellaGaming.com.
I'll tell you what, this caution was a big break for those Basin Racing cars because now they're going to have a fair shot at this race win. They're going to be a part of the main draft. They're going to try and link up, and we've seen them in previous plate races. They've been able to work really good together. So for them, they're looking to get together and try and slice their way through this field on that outside lane, and they're going to try and make it work as best they can. We're going to have about 16, 17 laps to go on this restart as we got one to green, so we may not see the last caution.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure whether the bets are secured now because at a place like Daytona, the plate races, really nothing is guaranteed. This field, how it looks right now, this top 10 or at least this top 5 will most likely not look the same at the end of this race, especially if you mix in the yellows. If you get any drivers up front that get involved in incidents like we saw with some of the drivers in that top pack with Granada, with Joe Berge, with Parker White, and Bridger Olsen there as well. So lots of drivers now out of this mix. But the question is, and now what an interesting thing to see, because Brady Wylam is going to lead the field back to the green flag. He has no teammates around him whatsoever. No teammates to help him. Right behind him, Nova Sim Racing, that's, you know, he has no help, at least there. He has help from Baker, but not necessarily teammate help, maybe not as comfortable with that 36 pushing him. He probably doesn't even know how that 36 is going to handle behind him, or if he's just going to push him out of the way and try to get him in the sucker hole and get him out of the way so that he could fall out of the draft. We'll just have to see. Cole Williams also in the same position as well. His teammate, the only other teammate that's down there is sitting 4th right now in Dane Cruz, or at least actually down to 5th, Dane Cruz in the number 46. But meanwhile, pace car is going to head down to the safety of pit road, and the 2 Camaros in Weileman and Cole Williams going to lead them back to the green flag, as Brady Wylam is going to get a shove from Baker, and Cole is all the way up top by himself.
Cole immediately trying to take back the race lead, but I can tell for these guys, it's hard to tell where Brady is while he's not appearing on the screen. So all these guys working together to blow right by him.
They did the same thing in the previous run. They all just put him out to dry, and looks as though they're wasting no time in trying to leave him out. So you got to feel bad for him, but whoa, they're cutting down to the bottom. Here goes Cole Williams putting a block on Thomas Baker as they're now back to the bottom. And contact with Andrew Baker. Oh, and they're around into the air.
Huge crash involving, this is the big one, involving multiple cars, starting with Baker. Kenner involved, Di Mantova involved. Now the 71 involved there as well. Huge crash as the 36 went flying off of turn number 4.
You can sense that one coming when that big block made by Cole Williams on Thomas Baker. And let's get a look at this. You see there was a big shove from Brady Wyman into the 46, and the 36 and the 71 made contact in turn 3, and he was unfortunately unable to hang on to that, and he had a hard hit into the outside wall, and it just sent him into the air spinning like a top here.
Oh my goodness. Dane Cruz also there. Now everyone piles in. The 07 of Warman. Berge there. 77 gets a little bit of contact, just trying to lock onto the brakes. The 71 with an insult to injury onto the 36. Huge crash. And it all started with that contact there, right there, between the 71 and the 36. Started it all as the 36 hit the 71, endured that machine, and then went back down the racetrack, got very loose. And then in turn, this is the look into turn 3. Watch this.
Yeah, you're going to see this one come right at you. So sudden.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Split-second decisions end with wrecks that end in 10 seconds or less.
Huge pileup. And that's going to surely shake up. I did say that the top 10 that was on that recent restart was not going to be the same top 10 when we end this race, and it's still shaking up now, lap number 41, because now Cole Williams is at the front of this field where he was on that last restart. He was second on that restart behind Weileman. The 45 of Kobe Wells is now second. Eli Commerford in his first start is on the podium spot in 3rd. Bridger Olsen, who we saw went almost up and over with the contact between himself and Joe Berge, he got his fastest pair. He's up to 4th now. Paul Granada's into this top 5 after being very aggressive, but he's gotten out of the way. He's been an escapist of all the wrecks tonight. Parker White, who still has that damage, has yet to pick up a faster pair. He is 6th right now. Weileman, who started on the front of the entire field on that last restart, he got shuffled out. He is now 7th. As everyone else getting their damage fixed now on down pit road. Well, that was a huge wreck. The big one at Daytona comes with 14 laps to go.
All right, well, that's just going to stack everyone up again. We're going to restart with less than 15 laps to go with Cole Williams for Eel Media Racing. The return of the Kelly Oubre mobile. we haven't seen that car in a while here, haven't we?
No, we haven't. Last time he ran that, I'm not sure the exact time where he ran it. At least the last time he ran the car. At least the last time we saw him on the KBueno Racing Network with that machine. But one of the more iconic paint schemes in at least this series. He's made that scheme fairly famous among the field. They know when they see Kelly Oubre on the car, they know what driver is behind the wheel. So he will be the leader as we come back to the restart. We've got the 1 to green signal by the pace car, so we'll take one more loop around this 2.5 mile oval, and we'll take the green flag with, I believe, just about 13 laps to go until we get to the conclusion of this race. Remember, this is the regular season finale, so we're not just watching super speedway racing just for the heck of it. We're watching points battles underway. We're watching drivers trying to scramble into the top 12. Obviously, with guys like Cole Williams, guys like Aiden Kirker, they have so many points to their benefit that they can kind of hang around. They can do whatever they want. They can be aggressive if they want to, or they can just kind of hang back and do their own thing here at this track because they have such amount of points over the rest of this field. But there are a lot of drivers in here who maybe are not even in the playoff picture, who are just looking for a win. They want to win in this series. They want to win in any league they participate in. And a lot of new drivers in this race. Obviously, guys like Dane Cruz, guys like Eli Commerford, Bridger Olsen here as well. And even people like, I'd say, Quentin Warman, Thomas Lloyd, those Basin Racer drivers who have yet to pick up a win in their couple of starts in this series. They are still looking for their first win. Lots of drivers still looking for their first win. I think the only drivers that do have a win within this top 5 are Cole Williams, Colby Wells, Brady Weileman, Parker White, and that's practically it. Parker White actually sitting 6th, so he's not even in the top 5.
This restart's going to get interesting. We said the same thing on the last one. We still have, it's going to be 13 laps to go when they take the green here. So we may have not seen the last caution. I'll say that one again because you just never know with super speedway racing. These guys can be unpredictable. They'll do anything to get a win. Pace car is coming off of in turning on the pit road, and Cole Williams will launch to restart this race.
Green flag back in the air at the hands of Cole Williams, and he gets a monstrous jump as there's Jonathan Baker getting his damage fixed. He got his fast repair, so he is now about to be put 1 lap down on the racetrack as now Williams and Wells working together as Eli Commerford and Parker White are going to try to catch back up to the top 2 on the bottom of the formed line as now Colby Wells tries to help up top. Parker White's up there also to help as well. Huge blocking up there in the back straightaway.
Jousting for addition, Cole Williams looks for that high line with help from Parker White. Here comes Grant 11 through the middle. Through the bottom. Eli Commerford stuck in the middle with that Eel Media Racing car. Dips up, almost contact with Parker White. But they're going to keep it straight for now. Here comes Joe Burgee with a screaming fast car.
And they're making contact, and there goes Eli Commerford around. And I was just about to mention that good restart by Cole Williams set them up to be in that position as the caution comes out. They got way out there, and it allowed everyone to catch back up as we see the 95 go way down low, but he does not get any damage from going down there.
Huge crash once again involving Eli Commerford and Parker White that seemed to be the catalyst to this entire wreck here on lap number 44. As we'll take a replay, see exactly what happened. It did start with Commerford, was all the way in the middle when we were looking at this, and here's an extra look here. This is off of turn number 4 when this happened. You see they almost make contact as the 31 stuck in the middle, trying to help that 42. Then off turn 4, bounces off the 95. Then ricochets back into the 95. And then hard into the inside wall he goes.
It's unfortunate for him in his debut. But as I mentioned, that started all the way on the restart. There was such a great restart by Cole Williams and that 45 car behind him that they got such a massive lead, and they were side by side that everyone just caught up to them in entering turn 3, and they had nowhere to go with a big run. And all that resulted in contact. Whoa.
Look at Jonathan T. Baker getting away from that. Right at the end. Take a look at this. This is on board. This is our Eel Media onboard camera. And this is right as a wreck. You see it happen right up in front. You see the two in the wall. Not on the brakes. Not on the brakes as Parker White comes back up. Oh, so close.
Days of Thunder.
So close.
You gotta love it. Days of Thunder.
And a caution out once again with now just 10 laps to go in this race, all the way to lap number 55. As Brianna Lavin will take over second. Colby Wells had the lead when the yellow came out. Cole Williams will be third with fellow Yosemite Racing teammates in Bridger Olson and Dane Cruz, Space and Racing. All three of them have been together practically all race long. And you gotta think, Charlie, with these three all together, and they've been together all race, they had a little bit of a scuffle when the one went around earlier in the race, but after that, they've been stuck like glue, all three of them together. Is this their plan the entire time, to stick together, and then now in these closing laps of the race, especially now that we're down to 10 laps to go, try to push up and come up together through this field and go all the way and try to get their win?
Yeah, definitely, and the time is now for them. They definitely have the right to move up through the field right now as a team. So I bet they're going to try to stick with each other at least in one lane to try to capture a win here tonight. They've been keeping their cars relatively clean all race, so I think they can move up and have a shot at it.
So we'll just have to see what those Basin Racing cars doing, or what they're doing, or what their trick is up their sleeve, what their game plan is now that they're still all together, at least some of them with minimal damage. I know some of them have been involved in wrecks, most notably, obviously, the one that went around early in the race, the 07 of Quentin Warman, who had a piece in the big one, but not too much damage to that Toyota Camry. And they're still all together with minimal damage at least, and mostly clean race cars. They can still hang in with the draft. There's no deficit to them altogether, and that's going to be something to watch for as we continue on. Pace car with the one to green signal. Go ahead, Francisco.
You know, Kenneth, I was about to mention, you saw Parker White was involved in 2 of the last 3 cautions, and in that first wreck where he was turned on the back straightaway, he did not use his fast repair. I don't know if he used it now, but he's definitely, by not using it in that first one, allowed himself an opportunity to use it again, because we saw he made a lot of contact after the Eli Commerford crash on that front straightaway. So he has a new chance. He's there, I believe, in the 12th position or the 14th position. So he has a chance. He may have used his fast repair, and that was due to not using it earlier when you mentioned that.
He did not use his fast repair on the first initial incident when he had contact. You saw him with a fairly damaged race car, and he was still hanging with the field, still collectively calm and composed. But ever since that issue with Eli Commerford, that wreck there, put more damage to the race car, and then he decided to go down pit road, pull the trigger on the fast repair, and he has a clean race car now. Question is, though, how long can it last? We've seen huge wrecks within the final segment of this race, so no one is safe, not even the drivers up front, because we've seen the big one and the recent caution come out with drivers up at the front of this field in the main pack. It usually was not coming from drivers a little bit further back or drivers a couple of seconds behind this main group, so it was only this main group really that was been the cause of the caution for the past couple of times, at least the most recent 2 yellows from the front of this field. And gonna have to keep our eyes peeled for if the event happens once again and we do have another big one or another large wreck involving the drivers up front, and how far the field will continue to shake up. Colby Wells and Brianna Lavin are going to be the 2 that'll lead the field in a row 1 as they take the tri-oval and they take the green flag. Hopefully the last restart with 9 laps to go.
Colby Wells with the advantage winner of the Martinsville night race here. That was a wild race. Lots of retaliation going on there. So he's back. He sees himself back out to the race lead, but Ryan 11 tries to make it move as he does Basin Racing cars, trying to stack up and trying to get back to the rear of the field.
Brianna Lavin trying to go for the race lead. Cole Williams does not go with her. He's going to go with Colby Wells and try to take over that second position. You see Bridger Olson in second place on that outside lane, trying to get up to the bumper of that 71 Ewalt Camry, I believe that is. And they're trying to lead that outside lane to get up there and challenge for the race lead. We make it through a lap clean, and we got 8 more to go.
The Basin Racing car of the one of Colton Zimmer has been separated from his other teammates who were all together. They fell back as Colby Wells is around in front of the field. Huge crash involving a lot of drivers. Nowhere to go. Caution out again. As I just said, it's probably going to come from the front of this field, and it did.
Aggressive blocking going wrong right there.
Cruz is stuck on the apron. Josh Duke is just completely stopped on the track, at least trying to make way for all the other drivers there. He's stuck on the racetrack. Commerford is damaged. Bridger Olsen is damaged. Cole Williams with no bumpers on his race car.
Can't wait to get a replay of this so we can look over it again when we get it up here. Charlie, so it's 8 laps to go. We were at 8 laps to go when this happened, and it's just aggressive blocking for the lead late in the race. Justified?
Well, you know, I think it's entirely dependent on the lap count. You see, yeah, Colby Wells just kind of left that middle lane open, and that 71 took advantage. I don't really know what to call that one. You know, you can defend both sides to that, but I
see I get what you mean. In the end, everyone here is going for the win, and you do whatever you can to keep that position.
Yeah, you can see the 71 just goes for the hole because it was open. He has every right to go for that hole. It looks like 45 right down. Yeah. Lots of crash race cars in that one.
Huge wreck, large wreck. Michael Kenner there, Brady Weileman also not to mention. I believe Eli O'Quinn maybe had a piece of that. Actually does not really have any damage. He actually went through the grass to get around this, so I think he had the best option, at least to go all the way to the grass, avoid everything, and you see the huge carnage there, and he just gets by through the grass, doing a little bit of bunch of lawn care. Almost got into Paul Granada in the process, and back to Kobe Wells, coming back up to the apron. But he gets by unscathed.
Made it through that great.
Yeah, this is another look, and like you guys are talking about, Francisco and Charlie, this is just a case of trying to block up to the high side, trying to block the run that the 71 has, but by that time in a turn 1, that 71 has such a run that she's not going to really give it up. And then the 45, by the time he gets the contact, he gets the push, he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then, of course, that sends him down and, of course, collects everybody else on the bottom who were just innocent bystanders in that event.
Yeah, earlier in the race, you're not gonna force it like that. You may have lifted if it was like lap 20 or something like that, but in the closing stages of the race, going for the win, you're not gonna lift. You're gonna press in any opportunity you can because you never know if it's gonna work. And unfortunately, right there, it did not.
So here's an interesting thing to note. Now that we've got to lap 50, now there's just about 6 laps to go, possibly an organic green-white checkered in the books, maybe going to green with about 4 laps to go, maybe 3 laps to go, and possibly taking that green-white checker the organic way or the natural way. And then if another yellow comes out, we'll obviously head into the actual green-white checkered format. But here's your top 5 right now. Colton Zimmer in the Basin Racing entry. We saw him get separated from his teammates. He was up front, or I believe right before that incident happened. I'm pretty sure he got shuffled out, so I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise for that number 1 to get around. Now Hunter Ellis, who we have not seen all race in a Nova Sim Racing machine, he is sitting 2nd. Eli O'Quinn is 3rd, where we saw him go down the grass to escape that wreck. Shane DiMantova also was one of the drivers to slow down in time to get around. He is sitting 4th. Thomas Lloyd, another Basin Racing car, a couple of cars to get up to his teammate in 1st, but he's still within reach. And then obviously the rest of the drivers who were involved in that wreck. Colby Wells got his fast repair. Michael Kenner got his fast repair. Jonathan Baker, who was a couple laps down, who we saw was down on the apron. He has a little bit of damage, but he's still in this as well. Now back on the lead lap. 07 to Quentin Warman in 9th. And Parker White, who escaped this wreck with just a little bit of damage to the rear end, will be 10th. At least through this next restart. So guys, 5 laps to go now. We're going to take 4 laps to go when we go back around and wrap back around in the pace car. We'll come back down. We'll take a green flag with 4 laps remaining in this race. Quick thoughts. You think this might be the last one, or you think carnage will still ensue from here on out?
Well, I've been thinking to myself if really any restart we've had so far will be the final one, but yeah, it's I don't know what to say.
I think we're going into overtime.
It's definitely in the realm of possibility as the laps start creeping down, but I think that it's entirely possible that that could push this into a green white checker.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I really think this will go into overtime. We've seen a lot of aggressive racing these last 20 laps ever since that caution came out on the back straightaway. We've just had a lot of wrecks since then, and unless they were able to get to the white, we're having a prolonged race here. So if they're able to get to the white flag and then they wreck, the race is over. So right now, this top 5 or 6 may not end up being the same in a lap or two. So we have to see who's going to make the aggressive moves. You see right there in 4th place, Shane DiMantova. He was in part of a couple wrecks there, and he seems to have a pretty clean car, and he's up in 4th place. So look out for him.
He got his fast spare. He has a clean race car, and he did escape that big one. Yeah, he was able to slow down. He was way further back in this field when it happened, that recent yellow. So that means his way of staying out, or at least staying out of the carnage in front of him, enabled him to where he is now in 4th. However, Colton Zimmer and Hunter Ellis, the 2 drivers we have not seen on this front row all race long, are going to take the green flag with 4 laps to go. We'll see if this might be the last green white, or last the green flag. If we get another yellow down the road, we might have green white checkers in our hands, but still 2 wide all the way through, and I think a more equal restart between Zimmer and Hunter Ellis this time, and the rest of this field, no separation, everyone's going, and now I think now is the time to just go all for it.
And Shane DiMantova looks through the middle there, trying to make a move almost to the quarter penny. He will make that move. Kobe Wells there to help. Shane DiMantova just trying to go, but we do have word in our YouTube chat from Dylan Basin, owner of Basin Racing, that Quentin Warman and Thomas Lloyd have just been removed from Basin Racing.
Wow.
2 cars that are in this race, Quentin Warman in that 07 and Thomas Lloyd in that 77, who are both in Basin Racing cars. So don't get yourselves confused.
So if they win this race, which a good chunk of them are up front, the 77 is up there in the 3rd on the bottom lane. If he's able to come away with a win, I don't believe that's going to be counted towards Basin Racing. I guess it's just going to be an independent win. However, Shane DiMantova had help from Kobe Wells after splitting the middle. He's now going to look to the bottom with the Chevy Camaro on the 45, all the way to the bottom now. The 14 of Kenner's going to have to contend to the high side. And remember, Shane DiMantova knows a thing or two about super speedway racing. If you saw the iRacing Bunch and Lawn Care Series race at Talladega, he ended up victorious over Brody Garner. He is leading this race with 2 laps to go. Here comes Colin Zimmer to the high side with help from Parker White. Now the outside is going to form up. Will they get up to the front, though?
This race is far from over. Aggressive racing from all of them. We may see a crash here at this rate. You see they're pushing all over the place. They know it's time to go. No lifting here. The outside is kind of falling back just a little bit. We see that 3rd place car will pull out and try to get to that outside lane. Shane DiMantova is leading. It is his job now to try and keep this lead with a lap and a half to go, as that outside lane is starting to get to his outside maybe.
Lines are starting to equal out here, as that one car is trying to push that 14 car of Michael Kenner out front, but 2 experienced drivers on the bottom row. You know a thing or two about super speedway racing, like you said, Kenneth. They're going to wrap around to white flag. 1 more lap to go. The lines are equal, and the time is now. Parker White moves up to 3rd on the high side, but it's Shane DiMantova and Michael Kenner out front. Those top 2 spots, Michael Kenner chops down. He has the spot. New race leader with 1 lap to go. Just less than 2.5 miles left.
And a clean move by Michael Kenner as Parker White gets turned on the back straightaway. Everyone involved, Eli O'Quinn down there as well, but the white flag is out, so no yellow. Michael Kenner is going to have to block and every single lane as he tried to block the 20 of DiMantova and the 1 of Colton Zimmer to the high side. Here they come. The 1 has help with the 95 of Paul Granada. 2 drivers in Kobe Wells and Patterson. They're going to be side by side. Paul Granada is going to make a move to the high side. They're going to be all the way to the front straight away. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Michael Kenner with a win. 2nd win of the season for him and Nova Sim Racing as they wreck to the start finish line. 3 wide photo finish at the end as he gets turned by his teammate at the end.
Great finish.
Wow. We'll take a replay and look at that, as I think this whole final lap deserves a look of its own.
Yeah, I was expecting Shane to make something happen, as, you know, the 14 and the 20 had a run-in at Indianapolis. See, Parker White just kind of came off the bottom there. But the 14 and the 20 had a run-in at Indianapolis. Now I was expecting him to make some sort of move, and you see, just doesn't lift it. You see towards the checker, you see he was trying to dip his nose down there the entire time.
And how did Michael Kenner block Shane DiMantova to the back straightaway on the entrance of turn 3? And then look at Paul Granado with a move. No help with Colin Zimmer in the middle. DiMantova, I think, was looking 4 wide, and then they start wrecking 3 wide to the stripe. And Kenner is a winner here at Daytona. The final regular season race goes to him as he is completely trashed on the racetrack due to that last contact between himself and the 95 of Paul Granado, at least. Excuse me. Wild finish here at Daytona International Speedway, and really did not get a footage of him burning out since his car was completely destroyed at the end there. But wow, what a finish, and what a race all the way to the line, 3 wide to the end. But we're going to take a look at your results and see exactly where everyone finished. Of course, starting with Michael Kenner taking his 2nd win of the season after winning at a 1.5 miler in Las Vegas. He comes to the Super Speedway in the final regular season event, takes a win here tonight. Going to give him a boost going into the playoffs next week. Colton Zimmer will finish the Basin Racing entries, and he will be the first driver to finish out of those drivers. He finishes 2nd. Paul Granado will come home as Nova Sim Racing occupies 1st and 3rd on the board. Shane DiMantova, who was pushing the 14 all the way to the end, he finishes 4th. Kobe Wells will come home in this top 5 after crashing a little bit earlier in the race. Josh Patterson will come home 6th. 7th belongs to Quentin Warman, now off of Basin Racing. Hunter Ellis will come home 8th. Jonathan Baker, who was up near the front of this field, very, very consistent up there, he comes home 9th. Brianna Lavin, after a very up and down night, comes home into this top 10. And through to 11th, Eli O'Quinn will finish there. Josh Duke will come home 12th. Parker White will finish 13th after that wreck all the way in the back straightaway. Thomas Lloyd will be 14th at the line, and he is also one of the members who just got booted off of the team. And Cole Williams, EO Media Racing entry, finishes 15th. Brady Weileman, after a very, very struggling night, comes home 16th, 3 laps down. Joe Berger finishes 17th. Bridger Olsen comes home 18th. Dane Cruz comes home in 19th. And down to 20th, Eli Commerford in his debut race. And then final 3 drivers on this results: Aiden Kirker, Benjamin White, not starting this race tonight, and Dylan Basin, also a driver who did not start tonight's race. Well, we're going to take a short break, kind of regroup ourselves and take a breather here from Daytona International Speedway in the World Center of Racing, and we'll take a little break. And as soon as we come back, we'll have our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC, and we'll have our interviews with the top drivers and, of course, your winner, Michael Kenner, here tonight at Daytona. Stay tuned. We've got more coming next. Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway as we kick off our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC. And what a race we had to kick off, or at least to close off the regular season here at Daytona International Speedway. A chaotic race to say for sure, and a very, very, very chaotic one. We saw lots of wrecks, huge ones involving lots of drivers in the top 5, top 10, but at the end, it was all Michael Kenner who took the checkered flag tonight. And we do not have him, I believe we do not have him in the booth. Actually, we do. So we'll take him in from Victory Lane, and we'll talk to him as he celebrates tonight from Daytona. And Michael, your second win of the season comes here at Daytona. That's such a wonderful venue. You took your first victory this season all the way back in the second race of the season at Las Vegas, but you come here tonight with a win to close off the regular season. First of all, just tell us how this feels after being in a little bit of an absence in this league, coming back here tonight and taking a victory in a 3-wide fashion.
Feels awesome. The Nova Sim Racing cars were all strong tonight. We were all talking about how it's going to be us 3-wide or us pushing each other, but it didn't come down to that. It was awesome racing. A little bit of a wreck fest towards the end, but feels great to be back in victory lane with Nova Sim Racing.
And certainly, you and your guys at Nova Sim Racing, and we talked about this in the booth during the race, the team allegiance between you guys and obviously the Basin Racing entries, EO Media Racing, a couple other teams that were working together tonight. But what really was special between yourself and your teammates at Nova Sim Racing, how well you guys worked together, especially in those final restarts and that final segment all the way to the checkered flag?
It was just really good communication. We all planned it out that we were going to try and take control of the race early, which we did, and then we just couldn't get back together. But at the end, we were back together. Well, me and Paul were. The rest of the guys got taken out in a wreck, I think. But it was just really, really, really fast all day, the cars.
Well, now, Michael, you've got 2 wins to your resume this season, and that means you are pretty much locked in to the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. I want to ask you, now that you've concluded this race at a super speedway at Daytona in the regular season, Darlington next week, what's your game plan? What's your strategy now? Or what kind of mindset you're going to shift into now that the playoffs are starting and you're in contention for a championship?
Well, for Darlington, my mindset's just going to be simple: survive early, because I think that's what's going to be key. Most of the guys are going to be racing each other, taking each other out early, and I don't want to be a part of that. I either want to be way ahead of that or way behind it, so I don't get involved in the wrecks. So there will be wrecks, I'm sure.
All right, Michael. Well, I know there's a lot of people that make things happen for you, and of course, you just talked about your team. But is there really anyone else you'd just like to shout out or thank for tonight's effort and tonight's win?
Gotta thank Jonathan Baker for sticking behind me the whole race, and of course Josh Patterson for signing me to the team.
All right, Michael, well, congratulations to you and your team tonight in a win at Daytona International Speedway. We hope to see you at Darlington next week. And, of course, you just mentioned just to survive next week, but you are in contention for a championship tonight, or at least in the playoffs in the next coming weeks. So we wish you luck, and, of course, we hope to see you at Darlington next week.
Thank you.
Michael Kenner in victory lane, a winner tonight for the second time in this season. Going to look back to second place, where Colin Zimmer and Basin Racing, the highest finishing Basin Racing entry, finishes in second, and we are actually trackside with Francisco.
Hey, Colton, Francisco here in the KBRN booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
So you were working with your teammates for most of this race. You guys dropped to the back, and you had one incident, but that was early in the race. You recovered from that, and you guys worked together to get to the front late in the race. You were just a little bit short. What do you think you needed to win that race?
I don't know. I think if Paul would have stayed in the middle with me there and pushed me, I think we would have had him. But he had a pretty good run up top. It was definitely worth a shot from him.
So you also had a lot of aggressive pushing towards the end of that race, and you kept dropping out of line. At any point in those late cautions, did you think, before the final restart, that ended up being the final restart, did you think maybe I should stay up here, or were you just being extra precautious until it was the last restart that it actually happened?
Yeah, my strategy was just kind of ride in the back the whole race. And then once I got in the lead, though, I'm like, I might as well stay up here as I'm in the lead. So got not much to lose.
So last thing I want to ask is, you have a lot of people that make this effort possible. Anyone you want to thank in particular?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my dad for spending a lot of money on iRacing, and then Dylan Basin for making my team and all of them.
Well, good job on tonight's race. You came up just a little bit short. We hope to see you out in Darlington.
Yep, thank you.
Definitely gonna be interesting. I didn't actually even know the playoff cut situation going in this race. Um, Definitely wasn't even really trying to win this race, just trying to do teamwork, and ended up finishing third, I guess. Um, it actually looked pretty good until that green white check with the uh whole communication died. But yeah, it was pretty fun easily working with I ended up leading and then hitting that bumper there in turn one that killed my whole RPM. But yeah, it was honestly like teamwork was definitely some most the key for our race tonight. But I was working with Colton at the end. I think if I would have stayed behind him a couple more seconds and get a run down the front a little bit longer, I probably would have had a shot. But definitely happy to get one of our teammates back in victory lane. I just want to thank my teammates, Josh, the team owner, Micah for definitely, and Micah and Jonathan for working all night together with us. Eli got up there at the end. Hunter was up there at the end too. It's just honestly, teammates are the best things ever. Thank you.
I'm down here with Shane DiMantola standing 6 feet apart from him. Shane, you led on the white flag. You were so close to yet another restrictor plate win. What do you think you needed to do to win that race?
Probably just had better luck and a better pusher there at the end. It really just was a chaotic race and just a lot of squirrels up front. A lot of people in here I don't know what the heck they're doing.
Yeah, for most of this race, we saw you running in the back, probably trying to avoid many of the incidents that were occurring in the front. We saw a lot of that in the closing stages of the race. You were up front that late restart and you led. So you had a great run today. What do you think you need to do forward in order to, finish out on top?
I've been having good runs in this series. It just seems like every single race towards the end I get screwed by somebody else's wrecks or mistakes. So I mean, I feel like the only other way I could get a win or get a good finish is just staying out front. And I mean, I've just literally come close in every single race in this series, but can't close out for some reason.
We're on to Darlington next. What expectations do you have going into that race, especially with it being the first playoff race?
With this field, it's gonna be a mess for sure. A lot of guys don't know how to drive like hard tracks like that in this field, so it's definitely gonna be a struggle for many, I feel like. So I just gotta be smart and watch who I'm driving around.
Last question for you. We know you're an SPG, but besides them, do you have any sponsors, any other team members, anyone in particular you want to thank for helping you get this strong finish here tonight?
Yeah, I wanna thank obviously DJ, everybody back at SPG for a great run. I want to thank you guys for you and Kenneth for doing this broadcast and coming out every week. And even though the races might be tough to broadcast, sticking around and obviously putting forth a great effort.
Thank you, and we'll see you at Darlington, hopefully.
Thank you, Francisco.
Shaney Manitoba out of the booth. He comes home fourth. Unfortunately, we do not have Colby Wells on hand to give his interview. I know Charlie just came back. He had some technical issues, so welcome back, Charlie. But I think Charlie, since you're back, I think this might be a little fun thing to do, especially since you guys are friends. We're going to look back to the driver who made his debut tonight, Eli Commerford, in the 31, and we'll take an interview with him. Charlie is trackside with the driver of the 31.
Eli, into the booth. You got a coffee? Eli, this is Charlie in the KBRN booth. You got us? All right, well,
oh boy,
I'm not sure we have communication with him, but he does finish 20th here. Started 22nd and finished 10 laps down on the racetrack.
Well, I guess that was our last-ditch effort, but he did not end up showing up. But, however, since we have you back, Charlie, and now that we have all of us together here after all of our interviews tonight, our thoughts about what really happened tonight and now moving forward to Darlington. You got this race under wraps. A lot of drivers in contention for these playoffs. Of course, going to look at points after tonight's race. Going to talk to you about that coming next week when we start the playoffs at Darlington. But coming at a track especially like that, Darlington, to start things off, Francisco, I'll start with you. What is the biggest challenge, at least now that you're in the playoffs? You fought hard all season long to make it here. Now you're going to be in contention for a championship, starting the round of 12 at such a driver's track, and it's such a challenging course. So what seems to be the biggest challenge, or what seems to be the biggest obstacle for a lot of these drivers to keep in mind going into next week when they drop the green flag there?
I think consistency is really key for some of these guys, especially Parker White, who are in a good spot. And Cole Williams and Aiden Kirk are some of those guys who've been running up front all season, or at least when they picked up the league. I think it's going to be really important for them to just stay consistent, have good runs, and be able to slide through these next couple of rounds.
Yeah, Darlington is a tough racetrack. It's one of the toughest racetracks you'll ever have to race on. The surface is so worn out. You're going to have to run against that wall, but you're going to be finding that cushion between getting as close as you can and not hitting it, because Darlington is it's unlike any other track. But the biggest obstacle that these guys will have to face is probably the non-playoff drivers. We've seen in many different series, whether it's on iRacing or in real life NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, or Truck Series, the non-playoff drivers play such a huge role into what actually transpires for these playoff drivers. So being the first playoff race, we'll see what happens with playoff drivers versus non-playoff drivers. How they race them, that's definitely probably one of the biggest things, how they get raced. But they need to go out and do the same thing that they've been doing all season. If they change anything now, they'll go away from what got them here in the first place. So one of these guys are going to have to at least try to keep to what got them here and try to propel through these playoffs.
We are back at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this .625-mile racetrack. And just as the field comes around turn number 4, the sunshine peeks through, helping warm things here. Bill Elliott leads him down. Benny Parsons on the outside. The green flag flies.